Give me some fucking names. Give this kid 2 fucking games. Give me some fucking names.
For Lord Cars.
Hear ye. Man to the people.
You know it's Cars Keys. Let's get it started up. Give me the car keys. Lakeshore Drive. Blog boys drive away with our takes like car thieves. Breakdown, we study, taste, and thrive.
Analytical preparation, that's what Cars is given. Cars don't discriminate, teaching the men and women. Each and every week, there's nerds to get your focus. Never manipulating stats, law, cars, no hocus pocus. Cars Keys, they're never lost. Checking source, never gonna find a better scouting report. Cars going live with the smartest man, my bestie. Deciphering holes on the defense like Getsy. New show, uniforms, orange with the dark sea. Take them alive, patrons, this is Cars
You know
Keys.
it's Cars Keys. Let's get it started up. Give me the car keys. Lakeshore Drive. Blog boys drive away with our takes like car thieves. Breakdown, we study, taste, and thrive. We gotta break down tape like detectives. No hot takes, just real football perspectives. The Bears nerd dropping science on his terms. TTNL giving Bears press like a perm. Other networks is off with the heads. Stats plus film equals football cred. Analysis like data Ted tries to shred. McCaskey's letting me cake, we keep the 100 crew fed. Cars Keys, let's get it started up. Give me the car keys. Lakeshore Drive. Blog boys drive away with our takes like car thieves. Breakdown, we study, taste, and thrive. Lord Hines in his car, fill up a goblin. Lord Hines in his car, fill up a goblin.
And we're back. Well, I'm back. Cars is a slave driver and would not give me the night off. He said, damn it, Shane. We need to give the people more TTNL. We need to see more pissed off cars. We're going to start a Cars rant segment. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to recap a little bit of week 1, turn the page on that, move to week 2. Welcome to Cars Keys, season 4, episode 56. Let me go see if my guy is ready. We saw what he's like when he's pissed off, so let me go see. There he is.
I promise to somewhat behave until someone gives me a reason not to. I don't know how else to stand
The
up
new rant master at TTNL Network, Matthew Karstensen.
There's nothing like when you head upstairs afterwards and your wife goes, "Did you tell someone to go F themselves and get back in their mother's basement?" And I was like, yeah, proud moment for the family.
Yeah,
really.
you know it's bad when Maisie goes and hides. You know, she's not scared of anything. But
actually, she was going to get the shiv for me, and she was going to help me take people out. So it was all good.
She is fearless. Well, here we are. I think we've recapped everything. I think everybody are starting to calm down a little bit, and there's a lot of overreactions out there, us included. I mean, it's part of the process.
Yep.
We're not overreacting in the bench Caleb Williams world, but it just goes to show you it's why tape analysis matters. And you can't look at stats. You can't look at TV copies. You have to sit down, watch it again, sometimes watch it a third time.
And sometimes you're crying while you watch it, right?
Yeah. Hey, man, that's part of what we do. We had to watch a lot of bad football and multiple times last year, not just the live games.
Last year, the year before that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I should say
that.
Decades, Cars. We've been doing this way too long. But we are here to tell you that it's not as bad as you think it is. If you are a TTNL Network patron, Phil is going to go live Saturday morning with his full comprehensive breakdown and show you the ins and outs, the things that Caleb needs to improve on, the things that Caleb was put up on a pedestal and then, ripped down for, that really aren't his fault too much. And we have some backing from some people that actually played in the league. So that'll be an interesting breakdown. Like I said, head over to the tapeneverlies.com to sign up so you can watch that breakdown. But Cars, here we go. This is the we're going to put a bow on this week 1, and then we got the big reunion in Motown as Ben Johnson returns to Detroit, where Dan Campbell and Jaden Reed is walking to the locker room in a ton of pain right now. So boo-hoo on that.
You know, Shane, it's interesting because as you go back and you watch, it's one of those things where it's both not as bad as you think overall, but probably worse in certain spots.
Yep.
And, if I go back and watch the way that we talked about it after the game, I think most of that still truly does hold true. I think, and we'll show some of the stuff, but I think we abandoned the run game. When you're the second leading rusher outside of your scrambling quarterback is DJ Moore, and he's getting more runs. Like there are certain things like personnel wise that was there, that was problematic. But also, we talked about it too last time. Minnesota's a really good defense.
They are.
And Van Ginkel has been incredible, and Greenard, that pairing has been great. But what they did to add Jonathan Allen, to add Hargrave, like that, they made a strength of theirs even stronger. And so, yes, there were some rough points in there. I think Shane, we've had this conversation for years. It's so hard to have a nuanced conversation where it's like, half the fans are like, it's all Caleb's fault. The other half are like, it's all the coaching staff's fault, and blaming all these relatively things. And you can look at a play and you're like, God, the offensive line was terrible all day. And then you watch a lot of it and it was pretty effective overall. And you could see some things happening, but we always get highlighted on these little one-off plays. Simple fact is for a week 1 game, a lot of what we saw was really standard, and it's unfortunate across the league.
That's the bad part, because you wait, there's such a long wait from, the Bears walking off in Green Bay to us opening up in Soldier Field on Monday Night Football. Yes, you get the preseason fix, but obviously it's not real football. And it's what makes the NFL great. It's why, it's the best sport in the world. And everybody is so emotional. The ebbs and flows, we live and die with it. And you guys have heard me say many, many times on the air, talking about players and fans, and there's never any middle ground. It's you either suck or you're the best ever.
Yep.
And 99% of the time, like I said, it falls in that middle ground, and it's no different than the situation that we're seeing with Caleb. I mean, there's people out there, there's Bears fans that are coming out and just saying that the kid sucks, that he can't play. I've seen people say that he's going to be out of the league. Nobody's going to touch it. I see people calling him a coach killer. Name me a coach that he killed. Just one. They don't exist. The coaches that aren't coaching him killed themselves.
It's just, Shane, you hit on it a lot that week after the game, which is the people who, for the most part, take that stance never wanted or liked him to begin with. And look, you've been really good about saying, and I think all of TTNL has really been good about saying, like, is he perfect? Is all of this happening? No. But is he as bad as other folks try to make it out to be? The answer to that is also no.
Right. And I think where people get lost in the sauce too, and I know Phil was guilty of this, and that's fine. That's Phil's philosophy. Phil and I have had disagreements on plenty of players, plenty of issues along the way, but that's what makes us TTNL. We're not afraid to have our disagreements live on air, hash it out. It never gets too personal, anything like that. But I think the biggest thing, and you saw it so much with Caleb, was the label, the generational label. Phil's used it multiple times with Caleb. That's fine. I just think that label in general is stupid. But let's say we all use it and say that Caleb Williams' talent is generational. Well, beyond that, the talent can be generational. That doesn't mean that everything is going to be worked out. At a certain point, to tap into that potential, it's going to take things from the Bears coaching staff. It's going to take things from the Bears offensive line, other players, and most importantly, it's going to take buy-in along the way from the person who possesses all that talent to figure things out.
And one other thing, time.
Exactly. I mean, Cars, that's the thing. I turned on ESPN radio today and there was debates with callers. Shay Snorling talked about this being a Dave Canales type situation in week 2 for the Chicago Bears and Bryce Young in Detroit. Week 2. Caleb Williams isn't at the point where Bryce Young was. To me, it's not even close. And Cars, what did they do? What were Bryce Young's numbers last year? They put that kid on a pedestal saying that he figured it all out. They were extremely pedestrian. In all offseason, Caleb needs to take that jump like Bryce Young did. Go ahead, read the stats for me.
I mean, Shane, you say it his first week, right? It was 161 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He gets benched the next week, completing 18 passes for 84 yards and an interception. But to your point, he didn't have a single 300-yard game at all. His biggest one was against Tampa at 298, but that went into overtime. But you're talking about this last quote unquote games where he went for 191, 219, 158, 203, and 251 yards.
Yep.
Going against not great defenses in Arizona, in Dallas, Arizona, Tampa, and Atlanta.
Context matters.
And so when you sit down and you go like, oh yeah, he went 6-0 and it was all done. Or he went, 3-0 at the end or whatever it was, or he played well. Like, it went well. We miss this nuance of things, of understanding, like, he's got room to grow.
Yeah.
There are some accuracy issues, but as you and I kind of sat down, the biggest flaw I see in accuracy tends to be on routes to DJ Moore. Now, I know there was some discourse about whether he gave up on routes, like what he was doing, and if he's freelancing on certain things and breaking off. I'm not going to get into that, but you don't see that level of inaccuracy along the other players. Like the ball that he's, like a couple that he threw to Olamide, or the one that he threw to Rome on the sidelines, or heck, the first screen pass that he pitched over to DeAndre Swift.
Yep.
Like, there's so much, but I think you're my biggest negative takeaway, and I think it's been there since last year, is that DJ and Caleb are not on the same page.
No, and I think that's, it's pretty clear, and that they're definitely not on the same page, in terms of the deep shots. But not just to put this issue onto DJ, Cars. We've talked about it live on air. You can see where Caleb, it's such a double-edged sword. And I talked about this on BHL, talked about it again last night, talked about it on CHGO Tuesday night. Everybody says that Caleb needs to get rid of the ball, needs to process quicker.
Yeah.
That can be well and true, but Caleb's internal clock, with everything going on, actually needs to throttle back and slow down, because he's going too fast with his internal clock, and it's making him very bouncy in the pocket, and it throws off his base, most importantly, it throws off his feet. It's throwing off everything. And when his feet are off, it's going to affect his accuracy. So as he becomes more comfortable, it's just like any of us.
Yeah.
You start a new job, your kid is in a new school. They hate the first week, then they start to get used to things. Facing some live, legitimate NFL action, the more of that he sees in this offense with Ben, as that starts to slow, I think you're going to start to see the accuracy numbers creep back up to where they should be, because he didn't have the deep ball issue in college. That's critical here. The issue, Cars, if we go back and we broke down tape, which we did, of Mitchell Trubisky in college, Mitch sailed a lot of balls, deep balls, out of bounds in college that players couldn't make plays on. John Gruden was on the broadcast that night on draft day and talked specifically about that. That was never an issue with Caleb. Mitch had that problem in college. Mitch had that problem in the NFL. Caleb has shown that he can do it at the Division I level. He's had some deep shots in the NFL, hasn't been consistent enough. And we can't sit here and pretend like he wasn't surrounded by complete turmoil and chaos last year in the media. And it's the best situation a rookie quarterback can come into in history. And all of this drama that's added to it, and you're the number one pick. And I don't give a shit what anybody says. People hold it against him, as we all know, because he likes to paint his nails. He loves fashion. He's not afraid to wear his emotions on his sleeves in terms of with his mom after his last collegiate game, all of that stuff. People look at that as a major flaw, and they're never, ever going to change from that. So if Caleb went out this year and threw 40 touchdowns and 1 interception, Cars, you know what's going to be the lead story? How awful that 1 interception was.
Yeah, and I think that's why you see him press a little bit. Some of this excitement is, I think he gets a sense for where this is going to be. Like, look, I've said multiple times, I said it at the last Cars Keys, this is game 1.
Yep.
Even if you're doing preseason reps, as much as they help, it's still not going to work on the timing and things that you need to develop in season, because defenses aren't playing in a way that they're going to play. Like, how many different times did we watch the way that DJ got kind of moved, slightly bumped off his spot, just a little, enough to affect timing? Those are the things that you're dealing with that you're only going to get through on the field reps. By no means am I saying for 100% certain that means that what happened this last week was the low point, but it's going to be one of the lower points. You're going to have some different games, but what they're starting to do is figure out what they do well and where they can do things. And I think that if you looked at the difference between the 2 quarterbacks last night, and I think I do want to say, I think it's absolutely abhorrent that they named JJ McCarthy NFC Player of the Week, because for 3 quarters,
exactly, it's
garbage. And hold on, I'm gonna say this, Jeremy, it's not. That's not the case.
Yeah,
it's been proven over and over again.
Jeremy, there's a certain section of normal fans. You're 100% right.
But get on BHL, go watch BHL and watch all the comments in the section that happened after that game, and make that statement again. And
Jeremy, we're not calling you out for what you said there. There is a lot of people that are so pissed off with the Chicago Bears that everything is falling on Caleb because they heard that generational label from somewhere, or he was the number 1 pick and he's supposed to come in here ready-made. He's supposed to be Peyton Manning, that Peyton Manning was in year year 3 or year 4 or 5, year 10. And unfortunately, it takes patience. And we are thin on that as Bears fans because we've been shit on for decades.
And we deserve that. But sorry, I kind of fell off there. But what made JJ McCarthy look better? It was the continual runs to Jordan Matthews or Jordan Mason, sorry.
Yep.
And how that righted the ship. So where their offense was trying to pass and then they were stuck and they were trying to use, and figure something else out and it wasn't working. The Bears initially had the run game. They absolutely, let me pull this up real quick because I thought this was pretty fascinating. Which was like,
right.
You had 5 designated runs in the first quarter out of the 15 plays. They were fine. That disappeared. You went through a like, look at that second half. So when the game was on the line, we went 3 passes, 1 rush, 4 consecutive passes. The heavy run drive was the one that had the bullshit Darnell Wright holding penalty on it. And so when that one failed, we went to mostly passes again. So as our offense is declining in production, it's because we abandoned the run game. Minnesota's was creeping up because they stuck with the run game and stayed and kept forcing it. And they brought on someone like that was physical, that punished the team. You can't have DJ Moore being the second leading running back on your team because he's not physical. He's going to be the same type of runner as DeAndre Swift. And so really the biggest issue I had had just been, you need more Monungai and you need more others to change up your run game. If you take away the scrambles, the run game numbers are atrocious. And it's just a weird use case. So that's one of my biggest takeaways is like,
I agree.
We unnecessarily abandoned the run. And when you sit down and look at it, that's the game changed when they ran more and we ran less.
Right. And to Jeremy's point, the Bears ran the ball in the third quarter in
one drive.
In one drive, but also people get pissed off when you bring this up. What killed it? The fucking refs killed it by calling Darnell Wright for a hold, and you can go in and look at the tape and say that it should have been called on Jonah Jackson, and I guess, but whatever, they called it on Darnell Wright did not hold. All of the fucking pass interference on Tyreek Stevenson. Those are that was on the Tyreek one was 4th down, correct?
Yep.
I have my note. Yeah, 4th down. Yeah, that's a massive play. It wasn't pass interference, but that's the thing. And this is what goes back to Ryan Poles. He is way too patient in terms of, I mean, what are we going to get from Roshan?
Look,
he's a guy.
He's a guy.
Has concussion issues, that has not stayed healthy, is a plodding running back that runs with some power. But he's good enough. They're going to use one of their. They're going to. I don't understand why it's not addressed. Britton Brown showed that he can run with some power. You left him on the practice squad. You've made 0 attempt. We had to claim that 4th string middle linebacker for our special teams. We had to claim Jalen Jones at DB as a 6th or 7th corner for our special teams. By the way, our special teams sucks. It sucked the other night. Badly. We can't go out and you're not even attempting to look at guys on the defensive line. It's been dismissed completely. Running back, dismissed completely. And that is on Ryan Poles. Ben Johnson has to take some of the some of that egg also.
You've got to make a move, and you are absolutely right in being upset that we didn't go get a Tank Bigsby. And look, it's not necessarily that I sit down and think that he's gonna be the world beater, right? Like that it's gonna make that much, but you needed to do all offseason, you needed to do something. And it seems like the game plan just overall was Ashton Genty or nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the way that it sits down and feels, and I hate it. But for a guy who made his who brought the success to Detroit by going through 2 running backs and leveraging them in different ways, and if you really expect Roshan Johnson Roshan to be that big of a difference maker to the
No
point
way.
that our season is going to kind of rest on the shoulders of that happening, I don't understand it. And if you spent the last few weeks telling us, "I trust Kyle Monangai," snap count shows that you don't.
Right. Snap. Go there. Burden. What was it? 15?
18
And then you're
snap, yeah.
and on special team. Listen, this is a guy that is a different kind of animal that the Bears have at wide receiver. And I'm like, you just go through it. We talked about this last night too. You have a top 10 pick in Colston Loveland. And I understand he was at what? He was at 38, 36 or 38 snaps. Yeah. He was in line a lot. There was one that Caleb missed. I understand that, but he's a top 10 pick. Put him in positions.
They were afraid. They coached afraid.
Luther Burden. He didn't even give him a chance.
And who had that electric punt or kickoff return, and that's why you put him out.
That's why you drafted him.
Because he's electric. Had been so good. Where was he?
I'll never understand it, Cars. And I said, and I hate to bag on Ozzie Trapillo. We graded him as a right tackle. Did not see left tackle for him. It's seemingly played out that way, that the Bears coaching staff has figured that out, that they don't see it, or they're going to give him a complete season, sitting down to try to figure things out. But Cars, he's not even the next guy up. It's Benedict, the UDFA. And that was the guy that your general manager said, well, he's the best of what was left at a position of need, so we figured we better take him.
Isn't that crazy?
You can't draft that way. I'm so sick and tired of that. With we stayed BPA. Bullshit. You're a liar. You didn't stay BPA. It's played out that way in the Caleb draft. On night number 2 going into day 3, when they told you what they were going to do the next day before they knew who was available. That's why Ryan Poles got absolutely played on day 2 and day 3 of the draft this past year. It's a problem. And then to make things all better, they fucking extended him. They can't get out of their own way. They can't.
It's Shane, in that regard, it's you have ignored as a franchise or as a general manager, you have ignored sort of the running back position. You have been unwilling to sort of swing the bat there. Now you swung the bat at tight end. You swung the bat at wide receiver. You've taken a massive swing at the bat at tight end and wide receiver. You took a massive swing at the bat. And my problem with the whole polls thing is, what we're going to see next year, because we've seen it every year. We don't have enough playmakers. Okay, we're going to go double dip and go do this. Okay, we don't have enough offensive linemen. We're going to overpay and go do this. you know that we're going to make 3 runs at a running back, and we're going to have
100% Cars, and that's why I think it was Sean Stewart may have brought it up at one point, I think, and we talked about it on draft day. That's why the Bears should have double dipped in this running back crop. And you could have still had Monungai in round 7. You could have still had him. It is malpractice on every goddamn level by your front office. I'll never understand it. There is not anybody in the chat or anybody that believes in Ryan Poles that can give me a valid excuse of why he needed to be extended when he was extended. And I don't want to hear the bullshit. Oh, it puts him on the same time frame as Ben Johnson. General managers don't become free agents. And what is he going to do? Leave? Is he going to hold out? Of course he's not going to. If he proves that he can do it, then you get paid. Much like the players. But the Bears are like, hey, no, this is, we need unity. That's what, kumbaya. Thanks, George. That's what this is all about. And then we wonder why they can't fix little shit. And again, I have faith in Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson did not have a good game the other night.
He had a bad one.
He talked about it himself. You know, the challenge. He put that on himself, and that is refreshing to hear him say that he was wrong. It's not the bullshit coach speak. I'm never at fault. Matt Eberflus nonsense that we have put up with for years. But it's so frustrating because this roster is talented. It's just constructed completely wrong. What did you do? And I'll end up here, Cars, and then you can go. What did you say about Minnesota? They built into a strength on the fucking defensive line. What did the Bears do?
Well, and to pull back too. They had a really great running game last year with Aaron Jones. What did they do? They went and added another guy who offered something different to make that a strength. Why? To help their young unexperienced quarterback out. And for 3 quarters, it looked like a lost cause, and it finally hit. Like, we had Justin, and they they didn't do anything to improve that line, and then they finally go out and get 1 wide receiver, right? And then still don't improve the line, and then they add Caleb, and then they still don't help the offensive line, but they give them another wide receiver. And that, like, you always make the joke, like, the good teams are a year ahead.
Yeah.
We react a year late.
Yeah, we react a year late, and then we don't follow through with what should be done for another year after that, sadly.
Because we've been talking about this position, about left tackle, and we've been talking about edge for the entirety of Ryan Poles' time
here. Yeah. And I said, and again, I know people get nauseated by me bringing this up, but it's just because I'm around it all the time with my family being Eagles fans. But it's, and I'm not, listen.
They went and got Tank Bigsby because they needed to.
Right. They went and got Tank Bigsby. They went and brought in Estime to put on the practice squad. The Bears can't even do that. I just don't understand it. And don't forget, Howie Roseman was the general manager for the Eagles and got demoted and put into a completely different department during the whole Chip Kelly era and then brought back. So he figured shit out. But you have to be aggressive. And when I say aggressive, I'm not saying that you need to go out there and make Khalil Mack trades or Micah Parsons trades. But the bottom end of this roster, on the bottom part of it, there's nobody there that should be, we can't improve off of him. But the Bears are doing nothing. I think their last 3 moves that they've made have been defensive backs.
And linebackers.
And shuffling DBs on the practice squad. It's just, there's no way it makes sense. None. You don't have a running game? Let's just Let's just wait for our slow, plodding, off-injured, concussed running back with a foot issue to come back. He'll take us where we need to go.
I mean, we're at the point where like, I love the Luther Burden pick. I love that as a player.
Right, and that's what Guy Finley's saying here, but we're not taught. I'm not complaining, and Cars isn't complaining about Luther Burden, Guy. We're talking about drafting a fucking tight end 10th overall. It's bad practice as a 5-win team. It just is.
But
and that
Shane, just take it a step further though. Why did we draft a tight end 10th overall? Because the guy we wanted went a pick beforehand.
Yes.
Why did we draft Luther Burden? Because the guy we wanted went a pick beforehand. To your point, we're talking about best available player, and the day before they drafted him, they knew all the moves they were going to go get to get a freaking punter. But they can't choreograph and figure out what they needed to do to go get a running back in a very running back focused draft. Like, in the time where that should have been where they were going.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that we can talk all day about how he fleeced Carolina in that trade, and absolutely he did. But the time that we have watched him be caught absolutely flat-footed and unprepared and unable to shift is problematic.
It is.
This season is going to, this offensive season is going to go by the run game.
And Guy is saying he was talking about the season before, and I'm on record. I wasn't drafting a wide receiver there. You can go back and watch it. I wasn't drafting a wide out there. Phil was taking Bowers. I was going offensive line because they've just not addressed it. They talk about it. Ryan Poles Braxton needs to work on his anchor. Guess what? It's not going to get better. It's not. It is what it is.
And he's serviceable, but he's upgradable. But we have taken serviceable to mean that we can't look at him. Like, it's not an option. And so you're absolutely right. Like, there's things, you only make the Ozzy move if you're desperate for offensive linemen at that point.
Right. And Cars, they drafted a fucking right tackle 2 years after drafting a fucking right tackle in the top 10. And Phil's probably right. If Braxton goes out and gets hurt, how do you think it's going to be addressed? They're probably going to end up moving Darnell Wright to left tackle. Phil's probably right about that.
I think that's going to end up being the move here by the end of the season.
Yeah.
To get your best five offensive line.
That is Chicago Bears to a T. They do it every single time. They'll take their best offensive lineman, and I'm not saying that Darnell is better than Joe Tooney, but my point is he's your young guy with a ton of upside. They did it with Kyle Long. They're doing it again. They're going to do it again now, and it's just holy shit. Make the move. Nobody thought Ozzy Trapillo was a left tackle. Nobody. You got caught with your pants down.
And it's, again, and it's because you probably didn't think that Ursary was going to go at the place that he did. And look, like, I like Cole Kmet. I thought from a blocking perspective, he did fairly well. There were several plays where he was one-on-one with Grenard and did really well. But he, like, that's a deal that you expect a certain performance out of him, and he's not been that guy. And so we keep pushing him and as a fan base, and I love the player. I love what he does. I love, all of that, but he's not the player at 12 million a year. And if he was so important to make that investment and he was so focal to make that investment, a year later you're not drafting a tight end 10th overall.
100%. And guys got in the chat that, well, they needed a right tackle. You need to make a decision on Darnell Wright's 5th-year option. Darnell Wright isn't going anywhere, guy.
No, you had to you have to look at it differently. You have to make a decision about the 5th year right tackle, sure, but guess what? You've made a decision on the left tackle, and you know that that's not the guy. That's what the pick of Ozzie Trapillo was, which
Right.
was, we know that the left tackle that we're looking for is not on this roster.
We
And
need
that doesn't cover the Karan Amagaji.
We needed a
failure.
right tackle, so we're going to draft one in the 2nd round because of the 5th-year option. When you have Braxton Jones and Karan Amagaji at left tackle, it makes I have this feeling, and I respect you and everything, but you make a lot of excuses for everything that Ryan Poles does. Absolutely everything. There's always well, they needed a right tackle, so we drafted one in the 2nd round that's not good enough to play.
But
on your line.
Guy, this is the point though. There hasn't been one each of the times because he's been caught flat-footed.
There was a good left tackle. They could have drafted one in place of Rome. I just said that.
Yeah, they could have had Olu.
That's the point.
You could have drafted Ursary. As much as I love Luther Burden, you could have drafted Ursary instead of Burton at that point in time.
You didn't have to trade. You could have had Burden and Ursary. You had the 39th and 41st pick. New Orleans was never going back-to-back offensive tackles. They were going quarterback at 40.
He's gotten played multiple times.
It's bad roster construction. It is. Ryan Poles is not good at his job. Ryan Poles is he's going to figure it out. He's going to figure it out. He's going to figure it out. He hasn't. Anybody can trade the number 1 pick. Anybody can.
He's decent enough at accumulating talent because, and that's the hard thing that you have to sit down and separate out, Shane. He's done a good job of accumulating talent, whether that's the DJ Moore and the Rome. I can't argue with the talent that Rome is. I can't argue with the talent that Colston Loveland is. There's so much talent all at different places. But to your point, why are the only moves we're making at DB, which is one of the places that we're deepest at? Why is all of the, why are we overpaying for Dio, who had a great game, please don't get me wrong, but we overpaid for him. Why? Well, because you haven't drafted him. Why do we overpay for Tooney and Jonah and Dahlman? Great players. I guess overpay for Tooney is incorrect. Overpay for Dahlman and you overpay for Jonah Jackson. Why? Because you haven't drafted and developed at the center and position. Why do you reach for Ozzie Trapillo? Because you need a left tackle and there's nobody else left at that point. So you make that as a move.
Those are his words. Those aren't Carr's words. That is the general manager's words. He said that. He was the best of what was left. And when we looked at what our next pick was going to be, we figured we better take the offensive tackle. And it's flawed process. It is.
It's anyone, and to a degree, even though he didn't do it that well, Ryan Pace could accumulate talent. It's one thing to go out and pick up players and add talent. Ryan Pace had a lot of flaws, but he made a lot of mistakes, but he did accumulate some talent. But the thing that separates these guys out, the things that separate out a Howie Roseman from everybody else, or what's the guy, Veach in Kansas City,
Brett,
and some of these others, what separates them from everybody else? They build a team. They add in players and pieces. They get aggressive when they need to. And aren't necessarily caught flat-footed. Kansas City was caught flat-footed thinking that Jawan Taylor last year was gonna be the player. Look at the moves that they made this year. So it's just one of those things of there's a one good thing about making a fantasy NFL draft and drafting all those players in a fantasy perspective, and that's truthfully where we are on offense. If you look at us, we are a fantasy football roster that is we've gotten now to like the 12th round, and we're sitting there down going, ah, shit, I forgot to draft a running back. Who's left? That's how our entire offense has been put together, Shane.
Right. And I mean, I don't know who's saying that it's too early to take Ariante Ursary. I mean, he's a starting offensive tackle in the NFL. Was it too early to take Ozzie Trapillo?
No,
as a backup and not even the first fucking offensive lineman off the field or onto the field. It's
Here's the thing. Ozzie makes sense if going into the season you're like, you know what? We're moving Darnell Wright to left tackle, and we're because we think that's the best position, and we'll figure out the right tackle side. Then it makes absolute complete sense. I totally understand that as a move. If you had done it at the beginning part of the season, totally understand because of everything that they had. It would have been a need. I would have understood. But now, if they make that move in the middle of the season, doesn't it seem reactionary and just another part of Ryan Poles' poor franchise building?
It does. And you can say, of course, Ben Johnson had input. Ben Johnson isn't making the fucking trades. Ryan Poles is. He's saying, all right, Ben, you want these guys? We feel like we can make this move and get this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. It didn't work out. The Bears got completely hoodwinked on day. I happen to think they got hoodwinked on day number 1, the way that it fell.
Oh, they did. Because, again, as much as I like Colston, at no point in time should you have been sitting there at the 10th pick and picking him. I'm sorry. Whether that's, you're going to Michael or, maybe you're dropping back further. It just doesn't look right. And you kind of go back and you're like, Travion Henderson or RJ Harvey or God, one of the, Ursary. There's all these other people that made an impact. And if you look at this team right now, Colston made no impact. Ozzie made no impact. Luther made no impact. Shamar Turner still recovering. And so he'll be there eventually. Manungai made no impact. Luke Newman made no impact.
You're a 5-win team. 5 wins.
And you're not getting anything out of those rookie players. Now, Colston, I think you see, however, whatever that is, and I'm still. It doesn't mean that we're not excited about those players and what that can mean. But you can't be a 5-win team and get absolutely jack squat out of your rookies. You just, in game 1, you just can't. Now, again, part of that is Ben Johnson. I really think he screwed over in the use of Luther Burden or lack thereof and didn't do enough with Colston Loveland. Absolutely. But you can't go over like you did and, have that be okay. I mean, it's as simple as that.
I hear you, man. I said, let's get off this monotony train and put up some of your slides.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to show that kind of this is what I found just super interesting from the day. And I think, one of the questions was going to be how under center is he going to be? I think we looked at 15 out of his 43. So roughly a third of his shots came from under center. There's a lot of pre-snap motion. So either motion right before the snap or right at the snap, I think was very interesting. I thought we would have more out of the 12 with the amount of times
Yep.
it felt that we looked heavy. And so, you can see that we had about 13 and 15. It's actually 13 and 13 because 2 of those rushes were scrambles. Um, it's just something that, again, if you've made that investment with Colston Loveland, you've got to play him more to get out of that. And then you kind of look at that rush game, and it's like 15 of those rushing attempts happened of your 26 happened in the first half. Like, and then 8 of the remaining 11 happened in Q3, which the vast majority of were in one drive. I think 5 or 6 of those came in one drive. And so you look around and you're like, okay, we ran the ball decently on first down. Uh, you know, if you look at that number and excluding scrambles, one of my biggest misses is if you're going to go 11, you at least have to be a threat to run the ball. And with DeAndre back there, we were not a threat to run that ball at all. So the good from this and some of the questions that got asked, I don't like the under center stuff happened a lot more frequently. I do think Shane, when you look at Caleb, some of his biggest mechanical issues tend to be when he's out of shotgun right now because he's got more time to bounce.
Yep.
But you've made this investment. You've got to go leverage it. You've got to go hit. You've got to go 12. You've got to switch up people in 11. You've got to see more. You've got to have a run game. If Roshan Johnson is inactive again this week, like it's just bad. It's just bad football. You've got to call somebody up to offer something different because we cannot. If you go in and it's just DeAndre and Kyle Monungai and you're expecting DJ Moore to take 5 or so rushes from the game, it's just a loss at this point.
I gotta bring this comment up because I just got a quick question. If Nick can answer this for me. What if Burden is still way behind on the playbook because he doesn't exactly strike me as a quick learner? I'd love an example to know how he showed you that, Nick. Maybe you know him. I don't know if you do or not, but other than it being a completely fucking ridiculous comment, because I'm sure you have no idea and you're basing it off nothing, but I would love to know what example you have that would give you that idea.
Especially because Ben has said the opposite in a couple of press conferences, that he's been buried in the playbook and working with folks and that they feel that he's got a good understanding of it.
It seems like it's dripping with something there, but not, I don't know. That's kind of crazy. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Just to go back to this last one, because I thought this was interesting. When you look at why running the ball is so important, look at those third down distances that you had. We converted one, and that 3rd and 30 was obviously after the bullshit holding call and then the intentional grounding call. But you're talking about 10, 13, 30, 19, 14, and 10. You're going to be lucky if you convert 1, maybe 2 of those. And we converted 1 by penalty.
Well, and
it's just a mess, Shane.
You're 100% right on that, Cars. So you're talking about those yardages there. That's hard as hell for a seasoned team to convert those consistently, let alone a team in game 1 with a new offense.
Yeah.
And that's making things just even worse along the way. It's just, I get it, guys. I get just as fired up as anybody, but the amount of drama and complete fucking nonsense that's going on. It's show me another wide receiver that gets ridiculed for not throwing enough interceptions. And especially a young one. Show me another quarterback. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen. And when he came out, his big, Caleb plays too much hero ball. And now it's, oh, fuck, he's checked down Charlie. He's not letting it rip enough. We need more hero ball. He's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. So what Caleb needs to do, Caleb needs to improve. He's got shit he needs to improve on. Get rid of the sloppy fucking loose fitting shirt under your jersey. Start there and go to fucking work. Calm down, learn the offense, bury yourself in the playbook. Go get Luther Burden. Pick his tongue up off the floor. Teach him how to learn the playbook too, so we can get him involved. And let's go win some fucking football games. Ben is going to improve too. Ben's script has not been written after one fucking game. But goddamn, Caleb's played in 18 professional football games. 18. And people have it this career sideways. And you could essentially, how many people, experts said, unfortunately, you have to essentially wipe away his rookie year because of everything that went on. I mean, Cars and I sat in the stands and watched the fucking New England game. It was the single worst football game I've ever seen in my life.
And that's putting it politely.
It was awful. We were tapped out. Cars and myself and Cherie, Sean, my son Riley, we walked into the back and we're having drinks, watching it on TV. We were at the stadium. It was terrible. You could just feel the malaise over the entire stadium because of Matt Eberflus in that situation. It was terrible. Cars, you and I were in the car after the game, listening to the radio, and it was like nuclear winter had set in. It was crazy. And that's what you were dealing with.
Shane, I want to just throw this out there again and as a reminder to a whole lot of people. CJ Stroud, his rookie year, goes out and throws for 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Everybody's like, it's the next great thing. Ryan Poles fucked up by not drafting CJ Stroud. The next year, he takes a step back. 3,700 yards, only a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Does not look as good with additional weapons. Everything takes a step back, right? Slowick, who had been a quote unquote head coaching prospect because of the offense of what he did, was fired during the middle of the season. Well, look at what he did this past week. 188 yards, 1 touchdown. Like, he has not looked the same since then. And he started off pretty decent in year 2 and kind of fell. It got worse as it goes along. And the reason I say that is we are so quick to write these stories on guys. Be like, it's done. This is done. You could have written this story on Josh Allen.
Ben is 100% right. Cars, we talked about that, remember?
Oh, yeah.
During the fucking game, you could hear the sirens in the city. During a fucking Bears game. That's how quiet it was. You could just sit there and talk to people during the game. There was no life.
It was empty. But we often do these things. And so when you look at Mahomes and he's been more pedestrian, what's the common theme? Oh, Kansas City can't run the ball. When you look at Houston, why they look? Can't run the ball. Why are the Commanders most likely struggling tonight? Can't run the ball. The things that you have to understand across all of these great quarterbacks, yes, they can do so much, but they cannot transcend when you're not a threat to run the ball at all. You might as well just take the running back out of the backfield and just go 2 tight ends and 3 wide receivers the whole time if you can't do that. And so it doesn't mean necessarily that you need him to be a game manager, but you need an assist from the run game.
Yeah.
And we are not getting it. If you watch that Jets game, why were they looking so good? Oh, Breece Hall was back to running like he was. I gave you the example of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And he started to run. All of a sudden, that game took over. Lamar Jackson is great. Lamar is a whole nother level when Derrick Henry is chewing through yards like he was this last week. There's a reason that James Cook got paid by the Buffalo Bills this year. They didn't really necessarily want to, but they, after having a year where they didn't have a running back before him,
Right.
and they fell apart, that was the issue. What made Detroit so good was not just David, it's Jameer. What's made Green Bay so good? It was the guy who's now in Aaron Jones, who's now in Minnesota, and now it's Josh Jacobs. You need a run game. You need to focus on it. It doesn't mean that it's your identity. Your identity this year is as a 12 personnel team because the talent is there and because the investment is there. But to make that 12 pop off, you need a physical running back that can sit down and change the game. Just from like, not talking about a home run, just be physical, just
Right.
pound people, just punish people. If that's what you expect out of Roshan, whatever, like it's a miss. But you are now going to have to be in a position where you're going to be desperate enough to make a play. And I guarantee you, Shane, I guarantee you, if this looks like this again this week, the Bears are making 2 signings, and you're just going to be like, "What the hell?"
Yeah. No, I believe you. And it's, where was the one? So they worked out Jamal Williams. Miami worked out Jamal Williams. 2 other teams worked out Jamal Williams. You get to that age, guys, the magical age of, 29, 30, right in that range at running back. It doesn't affect them all, but a lot of those guys, they go face first right off of that cliff. And I think it says a lot that the Bears had Jamal Williams in for a workout. They signed Britton Brown from that same workout, not Jamal Williams, who is familiar with who? With Ben Johnson's offense. So he's not here for a reason, because he probably did not look very good. Miami thought the same thing. So, and that somebody else had in there bringing Khalil Herbert. But Cars is talking about bringing in a physical back. That's also not Khalil Herbert's game. And Khalil Herbert has done absolutely nothing but bounce around since the Bears traded him. I still can't believe, what did we get, a 7th round pick?
Yes.
For him?
Yes.
With Cincy?
Yeah, I don't know who the player is, but they have to go do something.
You have to at least try. Like,
we've never tried. You're correct.
I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I would 100% I would have brought in Estime and gave him a look and say, hey, there's a legit shot you can get some reps here. And guess what? If it doesn't work, then you fucking cut him. They're not even doing that. That's what I cannot understand. But where was the True Pilgrim says, I love Caleb too, Shane, but we got to stop making excuses. What excuse have I made for Caleb tonight?
But why? Why do we have to stop? It's one thing if we're making excuses that are like stretches by any means.
Right. It's
these are not this idea that like something is wrong and this is why this is happening. This is not an excuse. This is real life. Like, an excuse is like, oh, the sun was in his eyes, or the fans are too tough on him, or all these different things. These are not excuses. This is just the reality of playing the quarterback position. Like, that's it. Like,
yeah.
The idea that these are excuses is beyond me. This is to Shane's point, game 18 in a game 1 of year 2, because what we've read about everything that happened behind the scenes and was happening in the locker room in year 1 wasn't just a shit show.
Right.
I mean, it made shit shows look clean.
Oh man, I haven't been on X, but it must be blowing up right now because, Jaden Daniels is 8 of 13 for 43 yards with an average of 3.3. Imagine, you know what I mean? It's over. It's over in Washington. I mean, they might have to bench him, Cars. They might have to. That's what we get here. It'll never make sense to me whatsoever. But Alex H is right. You got the most out of Goff due to play action. And you can't run action if you can't run the fucking football.
But there were plays to be made there. I think, to me, the biggest thing that you're going to get out of him is going to be mixing up the under center and shotgun, just like we saw. Like, we did so much more of that. We've got to continue down that route. But I think, Alex, the extension of this was Detroit also did this by saying David Montgomery's an upgrade, but he's not good enough. Let's go get Jahmyr Gibbs and really change it. And that's what launched him even further.
It did. And you want to know what, Cars? If you had a legitimate physical presence at running back, that would make DeAndre Swift much more of a weapon, because he should never be your bell cow. He should be a piece to the puzzle, not the piece to the running game.
You're right. And Shane, to your point, if I'm the Bears, you know what I'm doing? I'm going to go sign Audric to the regular season roster, right? Because he's only on the practice squad for Philly, right?
What do you have to lose? I mean,
and he's not going to come out now that they went out and got Tank.
Right. And I just don't get why you're not I can remember when the Bears had the number 1 pick in the draft and they traded it. The year that we traded down and took Darnell Wright. Well, that gave us the number 1 waiver claim for the first 4 or 5 weeks
we did nothing
in the season. They claimed a fucking defensive lineman, a former Notre Dame player. I can't even remember what his name was, that didn't latch on here. And it's just like, that was it. Take advantage of that situation. Again, Cars, I texted you and Ryan Cox instantly on cut down date. I'm like, a fucking linebacker and a DB? Really? That's where, and I'm not saying that these guys are going to be difference makers, but you're making zero attempt to upgrade glaring issues on your team. And if they don't, try them for a week, try them for 2 weeks. And if they don't work, then you fucking move on. But they're not doing anything. None of it makes sense to me with Ryan Poles. None of it.
I mean,
Khalid Kareem, thank you.
I'm a bit of a homer, but I thought Ian Wheeler showed a hell of a lot more than Roshan.
100%. Running the football, his biggest thing was the consistency in pass blocking. And that's put him on the
consistency and being available. Right.
Put him on the practice. I don't think he's anywhere. So this is what we don't have access to.
I think the more this happens, Shane, I think a lot of us agree.
We've talked about it. He's much more comfortable in front of the media, and I'm not saying that makes you a good GM, but I know Phil's talked to Ian Cunningham. I got to chat with him for a couple of minutes in Buffalo, and it's just, you can't, your default setting can't be, it's gonna work out with what we got. It's just gonna work out that it's gonna be fine. There's not a person in here. We did all of our patron live mock draft shows. And if I told every patron that I have inside info that the Bears are going to come away with the 2025 draft and not address running back until round 7 and not draft a pass rusher on the outside, an edge, defensive end, whatever you want to call them, that they're not going to address it at all, every one of you to a man would have told me that I'm a fucking lunatic. Every single one of them. And that's exactly what happened, because Ryan Poles got fucking played in a big way on draft day. The Calvin Banks stuff, listen, that shit happens. That shit happens. Back in the day when the Bears drafted Leonard Floyd, they loved Leonard Floyd enough. Do you remember what they did, Cars? They traded ahead of the Giants with Tampa. They flipped a 4 to go up to bounce ahead of the Giants because there was talk that the Giants wanted Leonard Floyd. You know, maybe they didn't have that intel, whatever. That shit happens. But everything beyond that, none of it made sense. And it's not an indictment on the player. It's just completely flawed roster construction. Tell me any team in the NFL that's a 5-win team, or any good team in the NFL when they were rebuilding is drafting a fucking tight end in the top 10. It's a short list because you don't do it. You shouldn't do it. And Colston Loveland, I love the talent. Had it to do over. I'm not doing it. Yeah, and Creighton is right. Yeah, we talked about it. Imagine that. Ryan Poles has drafted 2 defensive ends in his career as GM, and he's also drafted 2 punters. And the punter was drafted higher than any of the defensive ends.
And let's take a look, right? Like, okay, you have Kyler, and you missed on Valus. You've missed on Zach Thomas, Treston Ebner, Tyree Carter. You missed on Zach Pickens. You missed on Tyler Scott. You missed on, at this point, I think it's pretty safe to say you've missed on Quran because you don't have a position. As much as I want to sit down and complain that Ozzie is a backup right tackle, that's better than an unknown positionless.
Right. And I think Quran has the talent, but like to what Guy's point is, there's no way a guy that had that horrific injury with ripping his quad that couldn't, essentially ripping it in half and couldn't do anything. And you're drafting him in the 3rd round.
With the 11th overall pick
in the third round, right? And don't forget that's the Caleb in Rome draft. It's just it's roster building malpractice on every fucking level. I'm just looking back here. So the Bears, so they did put Hankins on IR along with Travis Homer, which we all know our thoughts on Homer. Hankins is definitely interesting, and he's the bigger back that I think that the Bears are obviously high on, 5'11", 226. But how many IR guys do you get to return? Is it 2?
Yeah.
And they've done it with Austin Booker and
to designated to return from IR.
Yeah, is it 2 that you can do? Does anybody have that? I can't remember what it is.
But I don't think they put anybody else because the other it's Amen. Terrell Smith isn't coming back this year,
right?
So maybe it might be Travis Homer.
Wasting and that's pure stupidity. If that's, I don't know. I'll have to look into that. It's Homer and Booker, according to.
Yeah.
A fucking special teams fucking running back. Again.
Look, they're going to make it. They're going to have to make a trade. And they're going to overpay. Like Kenneth Walker will be the guy that they'll look at. And Walker did not look good at all this past week, right? Like it wasn't a thing, but they're going to get desperate and they're going to swing the bat and they're going to overpay. It won't be Gaines Adams, like,
right?
Because of the position, but they're going to overpay at some point this offseason.
So Gary says, Shane, worst case scenario, Ryan Poles is fired. What does Kevin Warren and the new GM do with the coaching staff and Caleb? No, listen, Ben Johnson's got the fucking juice, guys. He's got the fucking contract. Ben Johnson's going to choose the general manager. Mark it down, put
The
it
guy
in the
he
book,
wanted to come
end
with
of story.
from Detroit would be here.
Yeah. He's going to be choosing it. So nothing's going to happen.
But that's not going to happen.
And they just extended him. So Ben's got what, a 5-year deal?
Yeah.
And now their deals are matched up. So Ryan Poles got what, a 4-year extension?
Yes.
And that just happened. So
and we know that they don't want to pay people to not be here.
Yeah, they're paying Flus and the entire coaching staff that they launched to the moon. But it's
but that's it. Look, like I said, so much of what we saw was just first week.
Yeah, and this is true. This is just, I'm sorry, Carter, to step on you there.
Go right ahead.
Scottish Bear is correct. There is a big relationship with Ben and Jeff King. And, the Bears are big on stability. So that could very well be a move. But it's not happening. Also, the Bears aren't going to eat Ryan Poles' deal, technically before his extension even kicks in.
No. So again, like, I want to reiterate, and we're venting frustrations, and I think, Shane and I and Ryan, like we talk about that. We talk about the Bears a lot.
Yeah. And Ryan Cox's flaws, but beyond that, yeah.
Oh, the countless ones. But it's hard when you come in with expectations. And I feel like, some of what happened is Ben getting used to calling plays for a different team and a team that wasn't executing. And I think a lot of that's going to get cleaned up. I think a lot of that is going to get updated, and it's not going to be the case because we've seen it. This isn't just lip service. We've seen this all throughout preseason, Shane. Yep. They hold people accountable. The players have talked about it. They're going to sit in front of the room. They're going to man up. They're going to look different this next week. I don't worry a ton about Detroit defensively compared to Minnesota. I think Minnesota's defense is significantly more talented on the front line. That's not a shame at a shot at Detroit. There's talent there, but I don't think their front seven is going to be as dominating as what Minnesota was.
Right.
And I don't think, we saw it with Ragnow out. The offensive line isn't the same. And so taking all of that in, like, yeah, there's still a good chance that we could lose. There's still a good chance that we can win. But this is a week that if you see we're looking for improvements, I have to hold myself accountable that I've said multiple times, like, the season is going to start slow.
Yep.
But it is going to end at an uptick.
Yeah, you want the trajectory pointing up. And that's, I said that the night we had Brett Maley on, and I've been trying to contain my, listen, it's hard not to get excited about every single season and new players and, new coaching staff and all that. But I've been doing this way too long. And you guys have heard me say on here, I'm improvement mode with this team. I know Alex H has been the same way. And he's made the comment multiple times that I need it. I'll be honest. I'll be excited if the Bears beat Detroit. It's going to take more than that for them to, it's not a one shot thing. The Bears need to start winning. They need to start winning consistently. But I think, unfortunately, they're going to have to get through some of the bumps in the road. And listen,
yeah,
Dan Campbell's no dummy. He knows what's riding on this game for his team and for the Bears. The loser of this game has 2 division losses through 2 games. That's worse than being down 2 games in your division. It's much worse. So you're behind the 8 ball in a big, big way. Dan Campbell went out and said, we're going to be Chicago. He put the old guarantee out there because he's putting his team on notice. He knows who's coming back.
Oh, yeah.
He knows that these players want to prove that, especially the players on offense want to prove that it wasn't Ben, it was us. We're good players. They want to prove that. These guys are, there's a lot of alphas out there. They don't want to say it was all Ben. He's the reason why we were doing what we were doing. So it was smart for Dan Campbell to do that. It really was. Go out there, but Ben Johnson should be doing the same fucking thing to the players. You guys are putting Dan doesn't believe in you guys. The nation doesn't believe in you guys. Christ, 75% of the Bears fans don't believe in you guys. Go out there and fucking fight for it and win. Your jobs are on the fucking line. Like Cars said, the shit doesn't change. You will see some changes.
I have actual faith in this, that Ben Johnson is not a lip service person.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think we've seen that we've seen it in this small time he's here more than we've seen it with Matt Nagy and more than we saw it with Matt Eberflus. Like we've seen that level of accountability. And that accountability, as much as Lovey would frustrate me, Lovey held the defense accountable. He didn't do a great job with the offense because he didn't care. It does seem like Ben cares about both sides of the ball and is going to do that. So, it's building. I think as much as I want to sit down and be like, be patient, I can't ask that because I'm having a hard time being patient right now.
Yeah, and Cars, let's be honest. Ben, this is his first year. He's gonna, and you see this with a lot of coaches. You're gonna see a lot of guys that are on this team that could be players that you like, or players that have been around or made some money, and they're gonna be gone in the off season because Ben's gonna see, he's gonna have some answers on some guys like Montez Sweat. Where are you, bud? Where are you? He wasn't the best defensive lineman on the Bears the other day. It was the guy that I was railroading for the past 3 weeks in Dio. But let's not forget, it was against a backup offensive tackle.
I'll just take for the first time in my, I know you mean this as well, but I'm just saying, I will just take for the first time of how many times we've been like, it's a backup person, we need to take advantage of it. And whether it's been Khalil Mack or Julius Peppers, they have never taken.
Cars, we had that one game, and I brought this up. There was a game against Green Bay, and they had like 3 or 4 offensive linemen out.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, and this was when the Bears were, I don't want to say that they're winning consistently, but they were a decent team. And they went out there and they didn't do anything.
They couldn't sniff the quarterback. Couldn't sniff it, right?
Yeah. You see that all too often. And it's just, it's a mentality, and you have to maintain. And listen, and Phil is 100% right. You have not established your identity yet. Your identity can't be, oh, we're going to be aggressive on 4th down. Ben made the wrong call there. And I agree with Phil going forward on 4th down that early because you haven't established. And listen, the play was there to be made. Caleb didn't make it. Caleb made a bad pass. Take the fucking points. Yeah. This is your first game in this offense. The offensive line hasn't played together. Caleb is still learning the system. These guys are still learning the system, and I get it. It's I'm never gonna hold it against the head coach for being aggressive. It was not the right time there. so early, game 1. Take the fucking points and move on. There's going to be plenty of times, plenty of situations where we can see you be aggressive. It just I didn't like it in real time, and obviously it didn't work out, so you hate it even more. But even if had they converted, yes, I would have been excited. I still would have come out and said I wouldn't have made that call. I don't know how you felt in real time, Cars. I didn't like it.
I listen. My take is I've rarely seen aggression on our football team. And so, when I look at this, I actually was okay with it, especially because the play was there and we didn't execute. I think I understand your point, but for me, just for the love of God, I have seen so many passive fucking teams in our lives that if that's what he wants to stake his claim on, like that's the player that he or the coach that he wants to be, and that's the way that he
Oh,
wants to do it.
yeah, no, I get
No,
it.
you're I get your point, but my whole
Yeah.
thing is just if that's what you wanna be, fine. As long as he consistently does it, I will never have a problem with it, but if he starts to pick and choose and it seems really weird and it's like what Matt would do, right? Where, like,
Yeah.
he would kinda call it and then he would get weirdly pass as long as that foot stays on the accelerator the whole time, it won't bother me, but I will understand why someone would feel that way.
So Bear Truth asks Shannon Cars, do you believe there will be an impactful running back available or that you can see? Yeah, listen, if you're going to get an impact running back, you're going to get one in the draft. That's where it's going to come. But running back is we haven't even fucking talked about safety because I don't want to go down this because it's so early, but Cars, I don't know how much of the tape that you got through, but we may have to have a talk about Jaquan Brisker.
Oh, you mean the fact that he was ass? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad.
Oh, there was very minimally that I would call serviceable safety play out of
Yeah.
him.
And beyond him, you're barren. I don't think any of us are Elijah Hicks fans at all. Kevin Byard is a seasoned pro and he's a good player, but he's also 31 or 32 years old. That position can change and change quickly if something happens in terms of somebody getting hurt. But running backs, you can go out and find guys that can come in and make impacts. Are they going to be Saquon Barkley? No, but you take chances on running guys or on young guys that have some upside. Sometimes changes of scenery help players. We've
That's
seen
why
it a million times. I mean,
that's why I keep looking at Kenneth Walker's that exact.
somebody like that. But yeah, I have. But I don't want the Bears to get in the mode of trading a 3rd round pick for a back
No.
or anything like that. It's got to be a like a late pick swap type deal or something like that. But to me, I would have zero issue. Cars. You just said it. Go sign Estime and see what he can bring you. He's a big running back with some power, and you claim him. Who are you going to have to remove from the team? There's guys that you can do it with, whatever. But they're doing nothing. Elevate Britton Brown. Let him see what he can do. He impressed me, and he's an older guy. He's 28 years old, but he was running with power. But you can't default to, it's Roshan's going to get healthy. He's never healthy.
The idea is there. You got to alternate. You got to have change of pace, but that doesn't mean that that's why that Roshan is good enough for that. And to your point, like didn't someone at one point like release LeGarrette Blount during the season, and then he goes and signs with New England because he had
Yeah.
signed that deal and he wasn't performing there, and he goes back to New England and he has this performance. Like, as you watch this season progress, teams are gonna change and come available, right? Like, it's as in the teams that you kind of watch, Miami, who feels like its season is done. You got to watch. And the Giants don't really have a ton at running back, but you got to watch some of these teams like the just of had unrealistic expectations and can you make a play? You know, if Arizona falters, is James Conner available? Understand that he's got the mileage and he's not the same, but his value is in physical running. And if
Yeah.
you can find that player, you just you go you swing the bat.
It's not hard to go out there and find a guy that can give you something at running back. I mean, the Bears have had a lot of guys that have been pulled off the scrap heap at running back. I remember the name James Allen.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Back in the day, and obviously not a physical runner, more of the water bug type, but it's I always feel like you can go out and find an offensive guard that can buy you some games. You know, he may not be around forever in running backs, but you can't just sit and expect things to get better with a concussed, plotting, off injured running back. I don't care how good of a guy Roshan Johnson is. Doesn't matter. You need guys that can come in and make plays and impact the game. Roshan is a guy that can run with power. My confidence level in him doing anything consistently and just staying healthy isn't there.
And it shouldn't be, right? Like,
Right.
let's be real. He's been here for 2 years. He's been 29 games, and last year averaged 2.7 yards per carry. Like,
Yeah.
we just don't know what he is. We'll see, but the run. What happens in running back is going to make or break this season for offense. It really truly is. So,
Sorry, I was just
no, you're good.
Responding to Mr. Big Steve Edwards on daddy duty.
He can kick my ass, so I'll allow it.
I think Big Steve can kick a lot of people's ass. But Cars, you got anything else, or you want to get out of here?
Let's get out of here.
Perfect. I love those. I love those words.
I just have a 45-minute rant, and then we'll fade
So
to black.
I don't know if you got to watch Keeping It 100 last night, but we switched the brand over to BHL and put the DDP rant up, and then played the DDP rant song, and then filled it a rant last night on Keeping It 100 because he didn't want you to show him up.
Yeah, once he heard I swore, he was super jealous, I heard, and had to step in.
I love balls.
I mean, hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
There you go. Anyways, stay tuned tomorrow morning, or no, Jesus, my days are all fucked up. Today's Thursday. Tomorrow you may have a surprise show tomorrow evening, and I promise it is not going to be me, because this is what? So Monday night, I did 2 shows Monday night. I did 2 shows Tuesday night. I did a show last night, and I'm doing a show tonight. I'm not doing another show tomorrow night, but I'm just texting back and forth with Big Steve. So there could be a bear down with Big Steve tomorrow night for you TTNL fans. I believe we're just trying to hash that out so I can get that taken care of for you guys. Go become a patron, thetapeneverlies.com. Sign up. It's right there at the bottom. Check it out. Phil's going to go live Saturday morning with the tape. It's going to be live and interactive. You can ask questions. He's going to show you exactly what we've been talking about, why it's not quite as bad as you think. Do players need to improve like Caleb? 100%. That's part of it, but it's still not quite as bad as some of the national media and some of the fans are making it out to be. So go over there, sign up. With that being said, Cars, Bears versus Detroit. Do you want to give me a prediction?
I have it similarly scored where I have it being 23-20 Detroit.
Detroit. And who's gonna what do we do? We do the who's gonna have the big play, the big game for the Bears on the Bears side?
So I think Rome is going to have the big game. I think, Terrion Arnold is kind of
Banged up.
banged up and Branch doesn't look the same as he did during that stretch. So I just think they don't have someone that compete with him. So I'm looking for DJ to have a big game.
Sounds good. And with that being said, here's my prediction. Bears versus Detroit.